Let me ask you something real quick. You work hard, right? You show up every single day. You put in the hours. You do everything they told you to do. Work hard, save money, live below your means. So why does your bank account still look exactly the same? Why does it feel like no matter how much you grind, you never actually get ahead? Why is it that you're doing everything right and still feeling completely broke? Here's what nobody is telling you. It's not because you're not working hard enough. It's not because you're spending too much on coffee. It's not because you haven't found the right budget app. The real reason you can't build wealth has absolutely nothing to do with money. And once I show you what it actually is, you're going to be genuinely pissed off. Because this is something they never taught you in school, something your employer hopes you never figure out, and something that the wealthiest people in America have quietly known for decades. There are 3 specific reasons why hardworking Americans stay broke while everyone at the top keeps getting richer. And none of them have anything to do with how much money you make. You ready? Let's get into it.
I want to start with a number that stopped me cold when I first saw it. 51%. That's the percentage of Americans who are currently living paycheck to paycheck, more than half this country. And here's the thing that blew my mind. That number includes people making 6 figures. So this isn't just a low-income problem. This is a system problem. Think about that for a second. We live in the richest country on earth. The U.S. GDP is over $28 trillion. Corporate profits are at record highs. The stock market has created more millionaires in the last decade than any time in history. And somehow, more than half of working Americans are one missed paycheck away from a crisis. That's not a personal failure. That's a structural problem. So I started digging. I pulled the actual data, read the economic research, and what I found made me angry. Not the kind of angry where you just complain, the kind of angry where you finally understand why things are the way they are. Because when you understand the system, you can start to work around it. So here are the 3 real reasons Americans can't build wealth, and none of them are your fault. Now here's where it gets really interesting.
All right, reason number 1. And this one is going to completely change how you see your paycheck. Here's a question nobody ever asks you in school. What is the difference between a wage and wealth? Most people think they're the same thing. More wages equals more wealth, right? Wrong. And this misunderstanding is costing you everything. Here's how wages actually work. You trade your time for money. You stop working, the money stops coming. Simple exchange, time for dollars. Now here's how wealth actually works. Wealth is when your money works even when you're not. Stocks that appreciate while you sleep. Real estate that generates rent while you eat dinner. Assets that compound year after year with 0 additional effort from you. Wages grow at 3 to 4% per year on average. Assets grow at 8 to 12% per year on average. Do you see the gap? Let me make this concrete. Say you and your wealthy neighbor both have $10,000. You put yours in a savings account, 4% interest. After 10 years, you have about $14,000. Your neighbor puts his in a diversified stock portfolio, 10% average annual return. After 10 years, he has $25,000. Same starting amount, same 10 years. You got $14,000, he got $25,000. That gap gets wider every single year for the rest of your lives. Now scale that up to your entire financial life. You spend 40 years earning wages. He spends 40 years growing assets. By retirement, that gap isn't thousands of dollars, it's millions. And here's the part that really stings. Nobody taught you this. Not your school, not your parents, not your employer. Your employer actually benefits from you not knowing this. Because if you understood that wages will never build real wealth, you'd stop trading all your time for a paycheck and start demanding equity. Start asking for ownership. Start building assets. The wealthy don't get rich from salaries. They get rich from ownership. Warren Buffett has a salary of $100,000 per year. His net worth is over $100 billion. His salary is completely irrelevant to his wealth because his wealth comes from owning assets, not working for a paycheck. But here's the thing that makes all of this even worse. Because even if you figured out the wage-wealth gap tomorrow, there's a second system working against you that most people completely miss. But if you think that's crazy, wait until you hear this.
Okay, stay with me here because this is where it gets genuinely infuriating. You know you pay taxes, right? Of course you do. We all do. But here's what they don't tell you. Not everyone pays the same kind of taxes. And the difference isn't just about how much you earn. It's about how you earn it. If you earn money by working, the government takes 22 to 37%. If you earn money by owning assets, the government takes 15 to 20%. Read that again. Work for your money, pay 37%. Own things that make money, pay 15%. This is called the capital gains tax rate versus the income tax rate, and it is one of the most consequential differences in the entire American financial system. Let me show you what this means in real numbers. Say you earn $100,000 this year from your job. After federal income taxes, you're keeping roughly $78,000. Now, say you earn $100,000 this year from selling stocks you've held for over a year. After capital gains taxes, you're keeping roughly $85,000. Same amount of money earned, $7,000 difference, just because of how it was earned. The system literally charges you more for working than it charges the wealthy for owning. And here's the part that should make you furious. This isn't an accident. These tax laws were written by legislators who were heavily influenced by the people who benefit from them. The wealthy didn't get rich and then get lower taxes. They helped write the rules that gave them lower taxes and then got rich. But wait, because it gets worse. You also pay Social Security taxes, 6.2% on every dollar you earn from working. But Social Security taxes only apply to the first $160,000 of income. Above that, nothing. So someone earning $50,000 pays Social Security on every single dollar. Someone earning $5 million pays Social Security on only the first $160,000, then nothing on the remaining $4,840,000. The more you earn from working, the more of every dollar goes to taxes. The more you earn from owning, the more of every dollar you keep. This is not a bug in the system. This is the system working exactly as designed by people who own things for people who own things. And here's the brutal truth. You were never told this, because if working Americans truly understood how the tax code was structured, there would be serious demand for reform. But understanding the system is the first step to navigating it. And that brings us to the third reason, which honestly might be the most important one of all. This brings us to the most shocking discovery of all.
Okay, this third reason is the one that ties everything together. And it's the reason why even smart, hard-working people who save money still feel like they're going nowhere. Let's talk about inflation. Not the textbook definition, the real-life version. Inflation right now is running at around 3% per year, which means every dollar sitting in your savings account loses 3% of its purchasing power annually. Your savings account pays you maybe 4 or 5% interest right now. Inflation is eating 3% of that. Your real return, 1 to 2%. You are barely keeping up, not building wealth, just surviving inflation. Now, here's what happens to someone who owns assets during the same period. Real estate appreciates at 7 to 8% per year historically. The stock market averages 10% annually over long periods. Both of those are well above inflation. So while inflation is eating your savings, it's actually helping asset owners. Because inflation raises prices, including the prices of assets. Your house goes up in value, your stocks go up in value, your rental income goes up. Inflation that hurts you as a worker helps them as an owner. This is the core of the whole thing. The system rewards ownership, it punishes work. And now let's put all three reasons together, because this is where it gets really clear. Reason 1, wages grow at 3 to 4%, assets grow at 8 to 12%.
Every year you work instead of own, the gap gets wider. Reason 2, the tax code charges workers more than it charges owners. Every dollar you earn from working, you keep less of it than the wealthy keep from their assets. Reason 3, inflation eats your savings while growing their assets. The economic forces that hurt you literally benefit them. 3 separate systems, all working against you, all at the same time, every single day. And none of this has anything to do with how hard you work. You could work 80 hours a week for 40 years and still retire with far less than someone who worked 30 hours a week but owned the right assets. This is why the data is so damning. The top 1% of Americans own 32% of all wealth. The bottom 50% own just 2.5% of all wealth. In the richest country in human history. That gap is not random, it's not accidental, it's structural. So what does all this actually mean for you today? $20 here and there doesn't sound like much, but let's do the actual math on your financial lifetime. The average American works for 40 years. Average salary, around $60,000 per year. Total lifetime earnings, $2.4 million. $2.4 million will pass through your hands in your lifetime. Now here's the question that should keep you up at night. Where does it go? Taxes take roughly 25%, $600,000. Housing costs take another 30%, $720,000. Food, transportation, utilities, insurance, another 30%, $720,000. After all that, what's left to actually build wealth with? Theoretically, around $360,000 over 40 years, $9,000 per year. And that assumes you save every single dollar that's left over, after the mortgage, after the car payment, after the groceries, after the medical bills. Most Americans save nothing because there is nothing left. Meanwhile, a person who owns just one rental property generating $1,500 a month in profit, that's $18,000 per year in passive income, double what the average working American saves, without working a single additional hour. This is the chasm. This is the gap. This is the real reason. Not hard work, not discipline, not budgeting apps. The system is built on a foundation that wages will never overcome, and the longer you spend trading time for money, the further behind you fall compared to anyone who owns assets. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, so what do I actually do about this? I don't have money to buy assets. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. And that's real. That's a fair point. So before I close this out, let me give you something actually useful. Before we wrap up, there's one final thing you need to know.
Here's the part that changed everything for me when I finally understood it. The wealthy don't start with more money. They start with more knowledge. And the single most important piece of knowledge is this. Every dollar you have is either working for you or working for someone else. When you put money in a savings account, your bank uses that money to make loans. They pay you 4%. They charge borrowers 8%. Your money is working, but it's working for the bank, not for you. When you put money into an index fund, it owns small pieces of hundreds of companies. Every time those companies make a profit, you get a share of it. Your money is working, and this time, it's working for you. The difference between someone who builds wealth and someone who doesn't is almost never about income level. It's almost always about whether their money is working for them or for someone else. Now, I'm not going to stand here and tell you to just go buy stocks. That's not a real answer for someone struggling to pay rent. But here's what is real. Understanding the system, truly understanding why the game is set up the way it is the prerequisite to changing your position in it. You can't win a game you don't understand. Now you understand it. The real reason you can't build wealth has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with 3 systems that were never explained to you: the wage-wealth gap, the tax code, and inflation. All 3 working against your labor, all 3 working for ownership. Now you see them.
And once you see them, you can't unsee them.
Real quick before you go, 3 things to remember. 1. Wages grow at 3 to 4%, assets grow at 8 to 12%. Every year you trade time for money instead of building ownership, the gap gets wider. 2. The tax code charges workers up to 37%. It charges asset owners 15 to 20%. The system literally penalizes you for working. 3. Inflation eats your savings while growing their assets. The same economic force that hurts you helps anyone who owns things. Now here's what I want to know from you. Drop a comment right now. Did you know any of this before watching this video? Be honest. And if you want to understand the other side of this, why everything you buy costs more than it used to, and why your purchasing power keeps shrinking even when you get a raise, I already broke that down in full detail. It connects directly to everything we just talked about today. It's the video right below this one. Watch it next. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next week, because what I'm covering next is going to make this video look like the warm-up. I'll see you in the next one.